but I actually, it occurred to me overnight that there might be a few quick clarification points. As I was listening to the presentations yesterday, especially as we talked about eGPA, where you look first to see if a product is covered, and you're seeing what ministries and utilities governments have made commitments regarding, that seemed like one process. And then we had our country speakers talking about a second process, which was surfing on their websites of their procurement authorities to find specific tenders. And I just wanted to point out that, at least in the case, I think, of the EU TED system, there really is one system there, because there's a search mechanism, as I understand, where you can look for GPA-covered procurement, and with one database search, you can take care of these two steps. And I also understand that it's a GPA requirement that when you search in government systems and a tender comes up, if it's covered by the GPA, it has to be labeled in some manner. So really these two processes are more like one than maybe was obvious in the way that was presented. I don't know if EU, US, or Canada want to, or other members want to add a little bit about how that appears in your system, but I wanted to give some comfort that in fact, you don't have to go to 10 databases to get to the end of this research, that it's actually more unified than it might appear.
I think I saw a question.
Yes, please, Sonia.
Yes, thank you very much. I first have a comment or remark on the presentation of Hannah. Thank you very much for your valuable contribution. I would like to come back to your comment saying that yesterday we have talked about the EU procurement and electronic procurement. I would like just to repeat what I have said yesterday, that currently the e-procurement is voluntary in the EU. But as we have conducted a reform, as from April this year, the electronic procurement becomes mandatory. Meaning, as from April this year, that all the electronic notifications have to be done by electronic means. And then also, as from October 2018, then all contracting authorities have to receive or have to accept electronic submissions. So actually there won't be any more necessary that a company needs to be there and to file in the paper version of the tender documents.
A second issue that I just wanted to return to quickly. Oh, sorry. Sure.
Just wanted to say quickly that, yes, it's important that you mentioned this obligation to mention in the notice whether procurement is covered by the GPA or not. Because what this means really is that it's the procuring entity that has the burden of figuring out whether this procurement is covered by the GPA or not. It's not you as the private entity that needs to search for this particularly. And obviously, it also creates a potential for this kind of database that our colleague from Ukraine was talking about, that the eGPA could be potentially expanded, but right now, this is not the case. Maybe in the future, if the GPA parties want to do this.
There was a very important question, I thought, at the end of yesterday about subcontracting. And overnight, I asked a few of the country experts their thoughts on this question. So the question yesterday was, how can Ukrainian companies be more involved in subcontracting? And a few ideas emerged from that. One is that you could look at the history of who has been awarded tenders in the past and find the names of successful main contractors and contact them and establish business relationships with them, because they are obvious candidates to win additional tenders in that market or other markets. So that might be one kind of commercial approach to take, is to search again for who's succeeding as the main contractors and offer up your services as someone who could be in their supply chain. I would also perhaps ask Adam to comment, because he mentioned that in the US system there's actually a way to register yourself in a way as a kind of subcontractor.
So one of the systems that we have set up in the U.S. it's called the subcontracting directory. And it's run by our General Services Administration, the same people who do the GSA schedules. And what they do is list out every company that has won a large U.S. federal government contract. It has the name of the company, the contact, address, phone number, email, and companies are actually encouraged to use this and say, here's the companies that are winning big contracts. It says what contracts they've won, what goods or services they're providing, and it allows you to go in and search by, say, a specific product or a specific service that you may be interested in providing, and pulling up lead contractor or prime contractor contacts that could be helpful as well.
May I just add that this is also in our plans to hold such a database of also. So.
I also had a third question for the experts. Several people mentioned knowing your CPV code, especially I think for the services that you provide. I was hoping someone could explain how CPV codes work, and if you are new to this topic, where do you go to determine what your CPV code is? Because this, I think, in several systems was your way to plug into understanding in the Georgian system, for example, if a new tender was coming up, you had to file your CPV code. So does anyone know, how do you find a CPV code? Sonia?
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, the CPV codes are the European type of system that we use, because on the GPA we use the CPC codes, which is a UN type of nomenclature for the services. So basically, I mean, it is only a classification for services. So if you go on the tenders electronic daily, then you can find on the website actually a correlation table between the CPC codes, which are referred in the GPA party schedule, because the GPA parties are obliged to refer the services that they are opening to the companies of other GPA parties as the CPC codes. So then on the EU website, the tenders electronic daily, you can find the correlation table between the CPC codes and the CPV codes. And I think that also other countries outside the European Union are also using the CPV codes for reference.
Thank you very much. That exhausted my 3 questions. Does anyone else? Okay.
Maybe I can just add that the CPC codes, these are codes created by the World Customs Organization, and they're like, it's a UN system, and they're available freely on the websites, so you can look for them. And also in the schedules of a lot of GPA parties, you actually find the link to where you find these codes, and that helps you really identify which of your services fall within which category.
We have I think many CPC code make United Nations, but we use provisional CPC code at the 1991. Also, I think other countries use same one, I think.
Except the United States, because we have to be the best. We have our own product and service code system, and I talked yesterday about that acquisition.gov, where it's got all the information. You can look up all the codes that we use for goods and services on there as well.
Okay, is that clear to everyone? Rather technical topic, but it seemed like it was one of the tools you need to use the systems, and I wasn't sure if everyone understood. Okay, so with that, we're going to push right into concluding remarks for the session before we break for lunch. I would stress that even though we're giving concluding remarks, it's not the conclusion of the workshop, because we have a very important opportunity for networking after lunch. And I would like to first invite the ministry to give their concluding impressions from the last 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you all for participating. Thank you to our speakers. It was very informative. To our guests, I would strongly encourage you to the very minimum to log in and register on various platforms. On most platforms, you can pick the industries that interest you, and you will get an alert, an email alert. Yeah. Once you get a tender that you're interested in, try to do it yourself. If you can't, we will do our best to help you. We will establish a network of contacts, and once the GPA office is operational, we will aim to fully service your needs. The GPA is now, the law is now in the Rada. It has been signed by the President last week, and it should be voted this month, hopefully. So yes, good luck. And I would like to say a special thank you and a round of applause to our organizers, CLDP. They did a tremendous job. Thank you very much. Without them, most of our reforms would not be possible. They have been a very loyal partner, and I hope they continue to be. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Just on behalf of CLDP, we wanted to review what our objectives were going into this workshop. We hope to introduce you to the principles of the WTO Government Procurement Agreement. Hopefully we've succeeded to do that. We wanted to try to give you practical tools so that you could already begin your research and your business plans to identify international procurement opportunities. And as mentioned by Alexei, the timing of this turned out to be really quite good because your live commercial opportunities under the GPA may go online in the next several weeks. So hopefully we've given you timely information. We also wanted to give you direct contact with international experts. We felt that this was very important. We've shown you lots of website addresses to do research, but I think please take advantage of the fact that we have human beings and experts from capitals here that came from very far away. I think you can get a lot of very rich information from them, exchange business cards with them, consider them to be a resource for you in the future. We would like to ask you to enjoy your lunch. As I mentioned, though, please do come back. The format will be back in this room, and on individual tables will be a card listing the country expert, and they will be sitting there very informally. You are welcome to approach them in any manner and sit and speak about your specific questions. If you have any translation or logistical issues, please find me or Ira Gladka or others from CLDP. We're happy to facilitate. But this is, again, a chance for you to really sit with these people, and it's much easier to do it here today than to try to do it, I think, over email and internet. So please do avail yourself of their presence here. They've been very kind to travel in February to Kiev, and I think they did so because they really are excited about Ukraine being a new member of the GPA, and they really do want you to succeed in procurement. So I think, as others have mentioned, we hope that next year by this time we'll all be studying statistics about the surge in Ukrainian government procurement participation. That would be our very strong wish. I would ask that you also please give another round of applause to our fantastic translators and to all of the folks who've been doing the many technical things to keep microphones working and film running and coffee flowing and lunch flowing. I think they've made a very comfortable conference for us so that we could focus on the substance. So again, thank you very much. Sorry, two more logistical questions. I wanted to remind everyone again that we have gifts for you when you turn in your program evaluation and tab 19. So please, either as you exit or during the lunch break, if you give the evaluation to the front desk, they will give you a certificate of participation and a flash drive with all of the digital presentations. So our two parting gifts for you. And then secondly, we've been asked by the organizers, if upon exiting this room, we could go to the staircase that's just outside. We would like to try to take a quick group photo because it is a very impressive turnout that we've had, and we're proud of it, and we would like to memorialize that. So thank you very much.